Hey guys, thanks for joining us back. Today we're going to take a look at the 2025 Video Game Hall of Fame finalists, and we'll take a deeply unnecessarily but thoroughly entertaining analysis. Ah yes, another year, another batch of culturally significant video games being formally recognized, as if they hadn't already been seared into our collective memories via sleepless nights, broken controllers, and deeply regrettable online smack talk. But sure, let's give them some official validation because apparently decades of influence, millions or billions in sales, and entire subcultures forming around them just wasn't enough. So with that in mind, shall we? First off, Age of Empires released in 1997. A game that made us believe that we were brilliant strategists, right before some random AI-controlled villager decided to single-handedly dismantle our kingdom while we were too busy researching horseback riding for no reason. Sure, it taught us about economics, military tactics, and the crushing reality that no matter how much effort you put into an empire, it can all come crashing down because you underestimated a guy with a slingshot. To that I say, legendary. Next up, Angry Birds, released in 2009. Ah yes, the moment mobile gaming peaked. A game so simple in concept, launching birds at precariously positioned pigs, yet so fiendishly addicting that we collectively ignored our jobs, families, and the inevitable decline of civilization just to play it. It also somehow spawned a movie franchise, proving that our standards for entertainment were already in freefall long before TikTok. Truly a masterpiece of our time. Next up, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare released in 2007. The game that forever changed FPS gaming, revolutionized online multiplayer, and made sure we could never again hear the words 1v1 me bro without a deep, visceral reaction. Oh, and let's not forget the stunning realization that you will never, under any circumstances, be as good as that one 12-year-old screaming into his Xbox headset at 3 a.m. Truly a milestone in personal humility. Next up, Defender, released in 1981. A game from the era when arcades actively hated you and had no interest in making things fair or fun. No tutorials, no explanations, just an immediate assault on your reflexes, your dignity, and your wallet. You either got good at Defender or you left the arcade that day a broken person. Next up, Frogger from 1981. A game that perfectly encapsulates life's greatest struggle, trying to get anywhere without being violently crushed by an indifferent world. If you've ever had to navigate a 6-lane freeway of rush hour traffic, you know Frogger is the most realistic survival game ever made. Also, major thanks to Seinfeld for ensuring that every 90s kid now associates Frogger with George Costanza failing spectacularly at everything. Next up, Goldeneye 007 from 1997. The single greatest friendship-ending experience of the 90s. If you were alive during this era, you have at least one friendship that didn't survive Goldeneye. You were either the poor fool who picked Boris, I'm invincible, or the absolute villain who chose Odd Job just to watch your friends' souls leave their bodies. Also, let's be honest, no one knew what they were doing in single player. You just shot things and hoped for the best. Golden Tee from 1989. The most competitive game you will ever play in a bar. It turns out golf, yes, golf, was just one large trackball away from being the most aggressive drinking game ever invented. If you've never seen a grown man violently slam his palm into an arcade cabinet while screaming about his short game, then have you really experienced true competition? Next up, Harvest Moon from 1996. The game that conned an entire generation into believing that farming was peaceful and therapeutic, rather than a relentless cycle of back-breaking labor and financial ruin. You weren't just growing crops, you were sacrificing your social life for an adorable, pixelated fantasy that in reality would involve crippling agricultural debt. And yet, we loved every second of it. Next, Mattel Football from 1977. Ah, the absolute pinnacle of gaming technology in the 1970s. A small, beeping rectangle. That's it. That's the game. And yet somehow, this tiny LED light simulator managed to be the most mind-blowing thing anyone had ever held in their hands until the Game Boy came along and made everyone forget that this even existed. Next up, Quake from 1996. If you survived Quake's multiplayer, you can survive just about anything. This was the game that turned online FPS into an absolute bloodbath, introducing us to an entirely new level of getting wrecked by people with dial-up modems faster than ours. Also, Quake's 3D engine basically invented modern FPS graphics, but more importantly, it gave us one of the most toxic online communities before that was even a thing. Next up, NBA 2K, released in 1999. The franchise that took the humble basketball video game and turned it into an unforgiving digital dictatorship where your player will never, ever be good enough. You could put hundreds of hours into building your perfect custom player, only to miss every single free throw and get humiliated by the AI defense. Also, let's not forget that actual NBA players now take this game so seriously that there's a professional esports league around it, meaning that somewhere right now, an person's entire career is just being good at a fake version of a real sport. What a time to be alive. And next, Tamagotchi, released in 1996. It's the first pet you ever had, and also the first pet that you definitely killed. This game single-handedly taught an entire generation about neglect, guilt, and the crushing weight of responsibility. For those who managed to keep theirs alive for more than a week, congratulations, you had way more discipline than the rest of the world. So what now? You can vote for your favorite until March 13th. But let's be honest, your vote only counts as part of a single ballot because obviously you cannot be trusted with real power. The official inductees will be announced May 8th, at which point we'll all pretend to be surprised when our personal favorite inevitably gets snubbed. Now, if you made it this far without throwing your phone, congratulations. Now, do the responsible thing. Smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell so that you never miss a single dose of passive-aggressive wisdom. And tell me, which game are you irrationally furious didn't make the cut? Drop your rants in the comments, and I'll talk to you soon, my friend.